So in this lesson, we're going to watch this wonderful worship pianist, Isaac Rodriguez. We're going to see some beautiful fills he was using when he was approaching each of the chords in the chord progression of the song he's playing. And we're going to translate that same knowledge to some other worship songs, some other popular worship song, so that you're going to see how it works practically and understand how to use those fills better. Okay. So with all that being said, let's see what we can learn from this video. Alright guys, let's get started with the breakdown. So the first thing you need to keep in mind is that the keyboardist is actually playing in the key of D major scale, which is this. Okay, that's the key of D major scale. So the first thing we're going to do is to first get the chord progression of the song. And after getting the chord progression, we're then going to break down some of the fills that he used when approaching each of the chords in the progression. Okay. So let's get started. We're going to listen to the song now and we try to figure out the progression of the song. So let's play it.
First one.
That's the 3, the 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay. So that's actually the chord progression of the song. It started from the 3 to the 4 in D to the 5 to the 6 back to 3 to 4 5 1. Okay, so that's just basically the chord progression of the song. 1 3 4 5 6 3 4 5 1. Okay, so now that we've learned the chord progression of the song, the next thing we're going to do is to observe some of the fills that I was using when approaching each of the chords in the progression. So let's take a look at some of the things I was doing. So we're going to start from the beginning of the video and we're going to analyze everything it was doing. We're going to listen and then break down. So here we go.
First one.
Okay. Okay, so you can see that it did something like this when heading to the 1. Okay, you can listen to it again. You heard that, something like this. Okay, and this is actually something beautiful you can use when approaching the chord 1 in your worship song or in any worship song at all. You can just do something like this. You see that? So we kind of use this. Okay, we play something like this. So we play this as some sort of passing notes before we get to the 1. So we just do something like this. Okay, we can also use this in some other worship song. For example, How Excellent Is Your Name. How excellent is your name. Oh, see that? When I was heading to the 1, I did this. Okay, so this is something you might want to try in your worship songs. Okay, so let's proceed with the video. Let's see some other stuff he was using. So you see that stuff he was playing when he was approaching the 4. I'd actually love that. He did something like this. Okay, you can listen to it again. You heard that? Okay, you heard that. Okay, okay. So this is also something you can do when approaching the chord 4 in any worship song. You can just do this. Okay, he also played something like this when heading to the 5. Okay, So the solfa note is very simple. This is C, Do, La. Okay, C, Do, La. Okay, C, Do, La. So you can just do something like this. Okay, and before you land on this La, you can grace it with the Sol. Okay, so this is Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. So we're playing C, Do, La. Okay, but before we get to this La, we can grace it with the Sol or with this. So something like this. Okay, and also when heading to the 5, you can do something like this. You see that? So you actually use this also. So this is re mi re, re mi re. Okay, and also before you land on this re, you can grace it with the do. Okay, see that? Very beautiful. So to the 4, 5. Okay, so this is a very cool stuff he was using from time to time in the worship song. So for example, we can use this in the song "I Love You Forever" by Ty Tribet, something like this. Forever, I love you. Forever, forever, Lord. Okay, see that? You see, when I was heading to the 5, I did something like this. When I was heading to the 4, I did this. Okay, so you can see when heading to the 4 and 5, I was applying those fills. Okay, so you can just try this out in your worship songs. So let's proceed with the video and see some other stuff he was doing. So you heard that beautiful stuff he did when he was heading to the 4. You can listen to it again. So you heard that? Something like this. Pam, 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 pam. Okay? You see that beautiful stuff he played when heading to the 4? Okay? And this is also a very cool feel you can use when heading to the 4. Okay? Let's say we can use it in some other worship song. For example, pass me not away from your presence, oh Lord. Take not the Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of my salvation. So you can see what I did when I was heading to the 4. Okay? Restore unto me the joy of my salvation and renew the spirit within me. Okay? So the key part I'm emphasizing is this when I am approach the 4 like this. Restore, okay? Restore unto me the joy of my salvation and renew the spirit within me. Okay, so you can use this wonderful feel when heading to the chord 4. So for the solfa notes, what I'm playing is very simple. All I'm just doing is this. Okay, as is so do re mi so. Okay, so do re mi so. Or you can say 5 1 2 3 5 in case you are more comfortable with numbers. Okay, see that? Okay, you can also use it in other worship song. For example, El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Lord Adonai. Age to age is still the same by the power of the name El Shaddai, El Shaddai. You see what I did? Okay, so you can just play this when it is to the 4 and it sounds so beautiful. So there's also one more very beautiful thing I want you to observe about this pianist. I want you to observe some sort of beautiful left hand pattern I was using when playing. So I want you to take note of this. So you can see what he did with his left hand, something like this. Okay. Okay. So the main left hand accompany pattern I want to emphasize in this particular video from this pianist is actually this. So instead of playing just triad or single note on your left hand, you can do something like this. Okay. So what is basically doing, this is the chord 1. Okay. This is the chord 1 in the key of D. So instead of playing it in just the basic triad form like this, we remove the third notes and we play these notes again in the upper octave. Okay. And then we had the next two notes of the scale. Okay. That is this and this. Okay. So this is like 1, 5, 1, 2, 3. First note of the scale, fifth note of the scale, first note of the scale, second and third. So this is what you can do for each of the chords. Okay. So for the second chord, it's going to be like this. This is the second chord in power chord form. And then we add the next two notes of the scale. Okay. Something like this. Okay. So for the 3, for the 4, for the 5, for the 6, 7, 1. So this is a very beautiful left hand pattern that a lot of professional pianists, especially in the worship style of music, this is what they use when playing the piano. Okay. So you can use this instead of using basic triad chord. So the last feel I want us to consider before we end the video is actually a very beautiful feel he played when it was heading to the 3. And this is actually something you can apply in many other worship songs. When approaching the third chord, you can play this beautiful feel that he played. So listen to it. 3, 4, 5. You can see that beautiful feel he played when he was approaching the 3, something like this. Something like that. Okay, you see that? Okay. Okay. So what he was doing is very simple. He just played this. Okay. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Okay. You just run through it. Or you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But instead of just playing it in single notes, he played it in octave form. Something like this. 3. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It's when you get to this 5, you strike the third chord. See that? Let's see another worship song we can implement this in. For example, the song Forever by Dunsin Oyekon featuring Mercy Chinwo. It goes something like this. Forever and ever, my God, you are good. Forever and ever, our God, you are good. See that? Forever, my God, you are good. Forever. Okay,